In today's session, we are going to learn how to deploy an app. What do you mean by deploy? So far, we have been developing the app on our local machines. We can run locally, but what happens when we are away? We have to shut it down and no one can access our app. So we need to able to deploy it in an environment where it's always running. So if it's always running, all you can do is you have to tell people, hey, this is my URL, and go and start using my app. Isn't that beautiful? So you would think it will cost a lot of money to put an app on an always running environment. It doesn't have to be like that in today's environment. There are a lot of low cost and even free options available. Free let you allow to try your apps, and if you want to keep it running all the time, you can pay some money and keep it running all the time. Usually these things cost very cheap. It's under $10 a month, so very affordable. So what do we need to do to deploy an app? So we have the app on our laptop, right? So I would say this is my laptop. These are all the keys, right? So one thing is we need to identify an environment where we are going to deploy. These are generally called ISPs. It's called Internet Service Providers or hosting providers. Hosting providers. So some of the common used hosting provider you have heard of are GoDaddy. I use something called DreamHost. DreamHost. And similarly there are other so one thing, these hosting providers they provided standard stack, which is mostly commonly used languages. Then we have Heroku. Heroku allows us to deploy things for just try it out, and if you want to run, it provides easy to deploy environment, Heroku. Then you have Amazon EC2, which a lot of startup companies use. And we also have Google Cloud Engine. It's called Google App Engine. Or sometimes you will also hear Google Cloud Platform. Okay, so these are multiple options you will have to deploy your app, and once you put on these places, I would just call so you can always have always running app. In our scenario, we are going to use Heroku because it provides easy to use command line functions to deploy and troubleshoot. So let's see how we will deploy our app, the one we will using Flask. Of our build web app with Python and Flask, we learned how to use the templates and the layouts. So after applying the layout, this is the app we built. Today we are going to talk about how we are going to deploy the Flask, and we are going to use Heroku. So the first thing is you go to heroku.com. This is the URL, heroku.com. You go there, and one thing is it says, first thing is unleash your inner startup. So it's a very good platform to just get your app up and running and then see how it works. So first thing, if you are not signed up, first thing you would do is register, go to sign up, and you would register yourself, and then you can create a free account. Free is always beautiful. This allows you to try out your app. I have already signed up, so I will just skip the part and I'll log in directly. Once I am logged in, it's going to show me the dashboard. Now let's see how we are going to add the app. So to add our app, what we are going to do is we are going to use a terminal. Right? So let's go to a terminal and let's go to our app. How do we know what's the location of the map? If we go to PyCharm, you will see there is a tilde means home directory, and there is a documents, awork, and my Flask app. So we are going to basically go to this directory. So you can just type in exactly the same thing on the on your command line, and it will take you to the location. So if you see, you will see the same files as you see over here. It's exactly matching the same files. Now, once you are in this, we have to prepare our app so that when we deploy, the platform can run seamlessly. So first thing is we have to, once you create, let's say we go to Heroku, we'll add an app name. So let's say we do a create new app. In this, we'll give a unique name, F3 my Flask app. So it should only contain lowercase letters, so that's fine. We can do this. Oh, sure. Okay, and it says my Flask app is available, right? And you can do runtime selection. Right now, two options are US and Europe. For people in US, please pick Europe or US. Otherwise, you can stick to Europe. It's your choice. We'll do a create app. And then it shows you this page. And if you go, you can just ignore the thing on the top. What is important to us is deploy using Heroku Git. And these are the steps we want to follow. So it kind of nicely lays out all the steps which we want to follow. Here it's going to ask the credentials. Okay, so this is the same credential you used when you signed up in the browser. So it says you are logged in. Right? Since we all are already in the project directory, we don't have to do anything. We can skip the CD part. Let's go to git init. Okay. Okay, so it added this. Now, before we get into the deploy your application, we have to add additional steps to tell Heroku what my app is and how to use it. So first thing is we are going to create a requirements.txt file, and the way to create is we'll run the command pip3 freeze requirements.txt. Once you do this, it will create a file called requirements.txt, and if we see, it has a lot of junk. For our case, we don't really need a lot of stuff, and I'm going to just remove the stuff which is not really needed. You can leave it as it is. It's not going to hurt it. I just want to keep it lean and thin. All right, so another thing we need is the G unicorn 19.4.5. So this is one thing we want to add. And then we have to create a runtime.txt file to tell what version of Python it is going to use. And in this we will use, it's your choice if you are whatever version of Python you are using for your project, you can specify that version. I'm going to specify 351. And these commands are for Mac or Unix or Ubuntu, but you can kind of use similar for your project. So we'll do Control C, and that should. And if we run again, look at the content, it's gonna show Python 351. Another important file we need to create is called proc file. If you are on Windows, you can just use a notepad and type in those content, and as long as we have the required files, we should be good. So I did not complete the cat profile, so let's do that. Cat proc file, and we are going to type in web g unicorn my Flask app :app. And as G-Unicorn is basically a software library which allows Heroku to run in a multi-threaded fashion. We can delve into, you can go to G-Unicorn website and find out more about it. And this My Flask app is the name of the Python file where we wrote all the Flask code. So My Flask app, this is the one, right? So, and then :app, this is like standard keyword, so you can just type in as it is. And then we are going to just do -log file just so that the log goes to the proper file. Okay, so if we do cat proc file, we should see that content. So now these three things are done. Another thing we would do is, let's try it if it works locally. Python 3, let's go and run git master. Okay, so it says address already in use, and the reason is we were running the program over in the PyCharm. So let's stop that process and we'll run this again. I'll clear the screen so that we can see it more. Okay, so it says running on HTTP. It means whatever we have in our code, it's running. Let's go to the browser, check it out for a second. Okay, we are able to see our app, which is good. Let's stop this app, right? Now we are ready to deploy the app. So we will do git add commit. Deploy to Heroku. So as you see, it added all the files to Git. Now Git is a version control, and Heroku kind of works with Git. So that's why we need to use Git. It creates a local repository. And the next command is git push master. Let's see. Now this should push all the code to Heroku. Now as you see, it said Python app detected, installing Python 351. So it says invalid requirement. Did you is not a valid operator. Okay, so let's see. We go to requirements.txt. What did we do wrong? Okay, so looks like we missed one colon. So this gives you an idea. If we make a mistake, Heroku will give you an error, right? We'll run the same command. The reason it's giving error is we made changes to requirement.txt, but we did not add it to the Git, which is the version control. So let's do that. This is how you would add it in Git. When you do Git commit, this file says, we modified requirements.txt. So we can just say modified gunicorn uh, typo, right? So now it's added to Git, and so we're gonna push it again. Now as you see, it is installing different packages which are required, and this is being, the packages are being installed on Heroku. And this is interesting. It says discovering process types, and it says proc file declares type as web, because in the proc file we declared it's a web, right? So Heroku will understand that it's a web app. So let's go to this URL. It says deployed, right? That's all it is to running the app. Bingo. Now our app is up and running. And if you look at the URL, it's f3 myflaskweb And let's see what else it says. It also gives a Git repository URL. We can look at it, what happens in the Git repository. So this is basically, it's taking you to how do you track your app in Git. You can look at it, creating Heroku remote. So some of the commands you can run remotely as well. Now one error I had run into was, it was saying H14 error. How do you know if there is an error? We have a good command, Heroku logs. If you run this, it's gonna list all the errors. It's a good command to have. And it will say, last time we were not able to run because of the requirements problem, it was not running. So here you see there are all kinds of, failed to compile Python app and whatnot. But this is the successful one. It says starting process with command gunicorn, my Flask app, and it's listening on this, and then state change from starting to up. And as you see, our app started working, right? Another issue I had run into with this thing is, if it gives an error, logs is a good way to start, and you can look at it. And what happened was, if I go over here, sometimes it will say you don't have any dynos associated with it. So here, the green dynos is more like, compute resources. So we are using the free tier. It means we don't have to pay. And it says, on my plan, I have about 17 hours, roughly 18 hours remaining, right? So if it's not working, you may want to try it on. Right now, this is on. If you turn it off and confirm, and then we go back to our app, it's gonna give an error, application error, right? So if you see a screen like this, it's a good idea to check your availability of Dyno. Turn it on from here once you confirm, and it also gives you cost, how much it's gonna cost you. And then we go back again, and we should see the app up and running. There you go. So that's all to deploying a Python and Flask app on Heroku. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My email is learn@f3learning.com, www.f3learning. This is my YouTube channel, so please do subscribe to my videos and leave your comments. Thank you for watching.